Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com weekend update show. Hope everybody is having a really good start to their weekend. So, one of my favorite shows of all time, is Curb Your Enthusiasm. My Larry David for me is the Messiah. There's nothing higher for him, right? I literally pattern my life. After him. I think what he does and how he lives makes total sense. And when you look at the corona, right? If you see the whole corona spectrum through kind of my eyes where I'm looking at it now, it's really not that bad, right? And let me explain. So I've been now self-quarantined about 2 to 3 weeks prior to the official quarantine. So I'm going on almost 3.5 to 4 months, okay? In that time, I've gotten better and built stronger relationships with my family because now we're spending so much time together, literally every free moment, okay? My trading has been incredibly better because that's all I'm focused in. There are no distractions. There's nothing that's taking a lot of my time away. I'm fully dedicated to my craft, and I'm trying over and over again to kind of get that edge. Very, very important. And I'm not even seeing my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law comes up like once every week, once every 10 days. So life is pretty good right now, okay? And the more I think about it, if I can just throw in a vacation, maybe see a sporting event, hell, this is the greatest thing going. But the reason why I bring up Larry David, he had the most influential effect on the stock market without actually knowing it. Okay, so for all you guys who've been huge Seinfeld fans, and if you want a 40-second description of what the stock market is all about right now, okay, there's this one scene, one episode of Seinfeld.
Excuse me, I couldn't help but notice that you were looking in my direction.
Oh, yes, I was. You just ordered the same exact lunch as me.
My name is George. I'm unemployed and I live with my parents.
I'm Victoria. Hi.
When George Costanza comes to a woman, they're eating lunch, him and Jerry are eating lunch, he approaches a woman and turns around and says, I'm going to do everything, he tells Jerry, I'm going to do everything the opposite of what I think is right because nothing is working for me. And he turns to the woman and he says, hi, my name is George, I'm unemployed, and I live with my parents. And the woman turns to him and says, well, hi, my name is Jackie. And that's what the market is right now in a nutshell, okay? Nothing makes sense, okay? The complete opposite of what rational thinking is working, okay? Nothing that you thought made, 1 + 1 is equal to 36, okay? And the more you start to kind of dwell on what you're seeing in front of you that doesn't make sense, a lot of traders are going to get more frustrated and more frustrated and more frustrated until to the point that they mentally shut down. And I'm seeing that in a lot of people. I think right now we're seeing one of the most oddest, most aggressive markets, especially if you trade beta, okay, that you're ever going to see. If you thought 2019 was powerful, and it was, just picture 2019. If you're trading, for example, a Tesla that used to have a $12, $13 average true range, fast forward to the COVID-19 market, the average true range of Tesla per day is over $50. That's a $50 move from channel to channel to channel to channel. And this is making into some incredible market, okay? Absolutely incredible market. And if you look at what's going on here, the market continues to rally despite the most negative economic readings. Think about this, since the Great Depression, okay? Not since like last year, or the year before, since the Great Depression. And what the market is continuing to do, if you've been watching this broadcast for, even for a couple of months, for a couple of weeks, that you've seen what we've been talking about in earnings, they're continuing. Okay, if you haven't picked up on this on this theme yet, you're way behind the eight ball. The market keeps on discounting earnings over and over again. And again, nothing even came close to what you saw on Disney. If you didn't believe me in the first couple of weeks with all these other companies, like including IBM, that never beats a quarter. Okay, they're higher. Look at IBM. Look where IBM is, right? Look where IBM came out with earnings, and look where they are now. They actually rallied. They actually rallied almost $20 off the bottom of the worst earnings ever. The stock that promotes the worst earnings of all time. So that was the jump point. Fast forward to we were in Disney, right? A couple of days ago, came out with earnings, the park closures, the cruise ships on shore. Nothing is working for them right now, for the exception of obviously Disney Plus, which had a very, very good surge. But the point is, again, if you didn't pick up on what the market was telling you 2 weeks ago, you're way behind the eight ball. So they're continuing to discount bad earnings, giving every company a pass. Again, unless the company is saying on their earnings call, we're going out of business, okay, they're going to get a pass. And the most impressive part about all this is, okay, it's the most hated rally. If you thought 2019 was a hated rally, this is the most hated rally that I think I've ever seen in the world. And if you would have told me again 2 months ago, okay, that all this is going on, the world is shut down, okay, everything's bad. The economy is completely in a standstill. And the NASDAQ composite goes green back on the year this year, right? Welcome to the George Costanza market. And now we're not focusing right now on the market. Is kind of screaming pretty loud. The market is not focusing on companies with bad earnings. The companies with bad earnings are there. They're gonna have to get out of it. Okay, and we all understand that the world needs to slowly but surely in time start opening up. But what I think the market is leaning to right now is not the past, is the possibility that Europe slowly but surely is starting to open up. Certain parts of the United States, although small, starting to open up again. Whether you think that's a good idea or a bad idea, that's a whole different conversation that you can have. But the point is, right now the market is numb to Corona. Even the state of New Jersey, where I'm from, okay, we're seeing still 2,000-3,000 cases a day. And again, you could turn around and say that is terrible, right? Compared to, a small town in the middle of nowhere in America that has 6 cases through a whole town. I get it. It's a whole different conversation. It's like people are saying we're all in the same boat. We're not in the same boat, okay? If you're living in a town that has 1,500 people, okay, we're in the same storm. We're not in the same boat, okay? Jersey has I think 150, 200,000 cases. So we're not in the same boat. But slowly but surely together, okay, we're all going numb to this, okay? Like I've been saying for weeks now, we're starting to hear less and less dynamic news on COVID on a daily basis. Again, we're not getting those headlines every 30-second, James Joe died here. Okay, that's horrible, but we're not getting that anymore. We're, slowly but surely, the noise is coming down, real information starting to wake up, starting to take precedence, and little by little, the market is completely removing this COVID vice that had been holding us down very, very well and making a dramatic move. Now, again, we don't know how big, when this move is going to end. Again, even the most bullish markets, I'm talking about the most aggressive bull markets, not non-COVID markets, eventually get hit with gravity. We all understand this. But man, oh man, if you're a bear in this tape, man, how do you justify it, right? Like, how do you justify being a bear? Like, how do you justify being a perma bear? And again, it's a rhetorical question. There's no way you can make an answer. Again, you could say what you want. We all agree. Unemployment, all-time highs, the economy, right? We get the reason behind it. But since this is a George Costanza market, how long can you continue to be wrong? How long can you consistently stay there and watch your short positions get squeezed every single day? Earnings, bad earnings, nobody cares anymore. So the question is, if you are a bear, where do you tap out? Okay, where do you do the Roberto Duran, no mas? Okay, when do you start waving the white flag? And again, it's the most amazing situation, but this is where we start talking about, and we've been continuously talking about, that every single person is responsible for the reality in front of them, right? My reality is most days I come in flat, I have the market flat, I trade the ranges upside, downside, I have a macro opinion. If I'm wrong on the macro opinion, for example, I was wrong on the macro opinion on Boeing. Well, I wasn't wrong, I just never confirmed. On Thursday, again, didn't cost me any money because I didn't trade on opinion. I waited, right? I waited for confirmation. And that's unfortunately a lot of traders, they've been short this market for weeks and weeks and weeks. And the question is, again, when do you tap out? Right? Like, when do you tap out, cover your positions, not necessarily get long, but when do you say, you know what, this is it, okay, I can't afford to be wrong anymore because the price action is telling me I'm completely upside down in my opinion. Again, very expensive questions and answer that, again, perma bears really do need to definitely address. Other than that, market's been, again, on fire. I mean, what other adjectives do you want to use? The market's been completely on fire. The Dow and the S&P were up 3% this week. The Nasdaq Composite turns around to say, "Hold my beer," up 6% for the week. Right? Beta is absolutely going nuts. The craziest stocks, the stocks that you never thought were going on big runs, are going on big runs. Like beyond, right? The whole theory of, well, now that there's a shortage of meat, they're going to turn into a non-meat. I'm not turning into no non-meat products, right? Again, I like Morningstar products because my wife eats it, right? I like certain things. But if I'm craving a steak, I'm not turning into a non-meat product. It's just reality. So I don't believe in that theory. But again, welcome to the George Costanza market. Nothing makes sense when you have companies, for example, like Amazon, okay, that are taking advantage and are positioned for the next normal society, the normal society what we are kind of living in now. When you have Netflix positioning, when you have Zoom positioning, even Tesla, the absolute cesspool of all perma bears, and they turning around and saying this is the absolute worst thing. This is a fraud. The CEO of the company the previous Friday can't get the stock down. When Elon turned around, again, please pass me what he's on. When a CEO comes out and turns around and says, well, I'm downgrading my stock based on extreme valuation. And oh, by the way, right, when he downgraded his own stock, the stock was at 872. Now the stock's at 820. So we're in a George Costanza market. You can take it, you can leave it, you can try to, rationalize what's going on, but the name of the game is, again, guys, our opinions mean zip, okay? It's all price action. The greatest thing I did for myself and my own trading was 3 weeks ago, I just stopped figuring it out, right? I just don't care anymore, okay? I don't care why the market's going up anymore. And when the market comes down, okay, the market comes down and we'll take advantage of the ranges to the downside. But at this point in my life, again, I'm much more happier playing basketball every single day, spending time with my family, being well fed, okay? Unfortunately, my weight, okay, is starting to get a V-shaped recovery. I'm not proud of that, but hey, again, it's kind of the world we live in right now, okay? There's no reason to get into bikini shape anymore. But the point is, again, life is pretty good right now, okay? We're in a very, very aggressive, rabid bull market. Just enjoy it for what it is, okay? Is gravity going to eventually pull this thing down? News doesn't need to, okay? Gravity eventually will. But for now, enjoy it, trade what's in front of you, save the aggravation of trying to figure it out, okay? We don't have the answers. I sure as hell don't have the answers. And the most important part is, again, stay in business. So let's talk about Friday. Definitely one of the most aggressive sessions I could remember. And, this was really, really aggressive. And this is the whole point of if you've been watching this broadcast for the last week, okay, we've been talking about the Tesla trade literally every single day, the top of the channel. I mean, literally every single day. We've been talking about Netflix throughout the week. We've been talking about Amazon throughout the week. We've been talking about how aggressive companies are acting once they start confirming macro ranges. And we'll talk about all these scenarios in a second. But and the most amazing part is what we say, we've been saying this, okay? If you told me, Dan, you could only trade 1 day a week. That's it. If you could literally trade 1 day a week, pick a day, I will take Friday every single day. Fridays have been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. If you remember even going back to last Friday, how aggressive it was. If you guys remember last Friday, I was incredibly tired. I only took a couple of scalps. I was mentally worn out and I needed a break. That's the day that I passed on that pivot when Elon downgraded his own stock when it went down 40 points, okay? So Fridays have been phenomenal. Whether you believe that it's due to people positioning themselves ahead of weekly option expirations, whatever it is, whatever you believe that the reasoning behind it is, the bottom line is if you give me 1 day to trade throughout the week, it's definitely Friday. There is not even a close second. So let's talk about Friday. So Netflix, all week we've been trading Netflix. The big spot on Netflix was that 32 area. If you guys remember, you've been watching this broadcast for the whole, just even for this week, that 3175, right? That 3175, 403175 was the big macro area, and it finally got above this macro area and started moving, just went all the way to 440. That's the area that it needed to build on Friday. Unfortunately, it didn't give that big move, okay? It's still very, very bullish. I still like the formation. That was the first pivot of the day. It got rejected 440 twice. It needs to build. Considering how strong the market was, and again, 6% move on the NASDAQ for the week, and you could turn around and say, well, Netflix did fine. It did what it had to do. But again, you would expect it just from the macro point of how they grew the subscribers, that this stock was going to have a really, really aggressive move, and it kind of didn't. And there was some good trades throughout the week of Netflix, but it just didn't give that, right, that launch point that Tesla did, and we'll talk about Tesla in a second. But 440, again, not a big move at all. 440 only went up to 442, and then kind of just dribbling away for the rest of the week. Again, the stock, you have to continue to give this stock the benefit of the doubt just because of this long rising wedge, this kind of support that you're seeing, but a little disappointing on Netflix. I traded Chipotle on Friday. I said it. I traded Chipotle on Friday. We were watching, pre-market, and again, for all you guys who do trade Chipotle, if I had a bet, most of you guys trade Chipotle on the option side because the equity is so bad, okay? That's why one of the reasons I just don't concentrate on Chipotle. Usually don't see me talking about Chipotle or pivots, but when Chipotle came out with earnings, okay, and let me show you guys from the daily chart. When Chipotle came out with earnings, and this was again another major clue that they were giving passes, although they did a great job with execution of this quarter, the takeout, all that stuff. So they did a great job. But the most amazing part of Chipotle for the last 2 weeks, the stock was going sideways. So we already had this 900 level. Everybody see this 900 level here? We already had this 900 level set for, if it started building over 900, I thought it was going to get above this 910, 911 earnings high, and it was going to go. So we were watching Chipotle, and it gapped up, right? I got an alert pre-market. It gapped up to like 905, 906 pre-market. So I put in the Twitter feed, right? I put in the private Twitter feed, hey, 910, 911 needs to build. So they brought down the stock, right? They brought down the stock on the 900. So we were just watching that 900 area. It just wasn't going away. And I just bought it. I just said, hell, I bought it again. I'm not trading any type of size in Chipotle, but the point is I bought it. And next thing I know, I was shocked. Like, if anybody was shocked that I made money in this trade, I was shocked. So I get long the stock, and it just explodes. I mean, absolutely explodes. The damn thing closed at 926, went to 927 and change. I still think the stock will test this 940 level, 945 level next week. So I was shocked. Phenomenal move on Chipotle. I'm more shocked than anybody. That number one, I traded, and number two, I did okay with it. So I'm very, very surprised there. But great job. I know some of you guys are still long calls going into next week. Tulo, here's kind of a tip for newer traders. So Tulo had this ridiculous 40% move, right? 45% move the day before. And here's kind of a tip for especially new traders. And this is like one of the more basic strategies that I've been using for years and years and years. Anytime you see a stock put in this really cartoonish like candle the day before, right? And again, it doesn't need to be 40%. It could be 15%, 10%, 20%, whatever the case may be. And if they open up red the next day, there's a very, very high probability that the stock will go green at least once and give you a run, okay? So I put this into the Twitter feed, and I said, look, 171 needs to build. I go, look, it had a huge run yesterday, so there's always a chance, especially, again, 40% run, there's always a chance that it can get profit-taking later, okay? But it should give at least one run, okay, if it confirms. So take on the way up and use break even as you stop. So we talked about this 171 area. There wasn't even a downtick, okay, just to give you an idea how aggressive too low was. And if you traded too low, you understand, right? So here is the 171, this whole channel here, right? Check this out. 170, 85, 170, 73, 65, 171, right? So once it took out, there wasn't even a downtick to use break even as a stop. Absolute explosion, went to 182. Again, monster 2-day run on Tulo. Maybe you get a 3rd-day run on Monday with maybe a blow off top for a possible backside move starting. But again, something for us to keep an eye on, but really, really big move there. Boeing 132 needs to build. Again, this is the whole point of don't be biased on one direction. Okay, we had some really good Boeing pivots to the downside. I thought Thursday was going to be the knife in the chest. Never happened. So again, you switch bias based on technical analysis. 132 needs to build for another pop. So here was Boeing, right? So here was Boeing right here. Here's the 132, right? Here's the 132, and that pop was big. That pop was to 35 and change, so nice pop on Boeing. ZM 162 rejected, needs to reclaim, and never got there. Disney did not put in a move, but it did do something very, very important. 109 needs to reclaim for more. So it didn't give a move, but it did do something very, very important on the macro side. It did reclaim, right? It did reclaim this 109 level. Again, only traded to like 109.20. But the point is, macro-wise, now it's set. As long as it doesn't take out the previous day's low, okay, and the market continues to act like the George Costanza market, you could see a move back to the 112, 113 area. So again, very, very good structural day for Disney. Again, held its gains, closed above supply, and now it just needs to confirm upper prices. Amazon, again, for all you guys who are still holding calls, again, the early pivot throughout the week was that 23.52 area. And I said, look, it keeps on grinding. For those of you guys who are still in calls, keep taking it on the way up. Maybe today's finally the day to 2,400. It didn't get to 2,400, but it's still grinding, and that's the most important point. You know Amazon's going to have one big day this week. Again, if the market is, you can see here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 days in a row of higher highs, higher lows. It's above the 10-day moving average. It's building on the 10-day moving average. All it needs to do now, right? All it needs to do, literally, is get above the 60-minute channel here. You can see the highs here, right? 2390s. If it starts building above the 2390s, it puts in an aggressive area. Guys, look how much room you have, right? Look how much room you have to the upside. So again, still love Amazon. Now we're just looking for, especially for all of us who are trading on the equity side, now we're just looking for that channel confirmation back to the upside for a potential move. So I want to keep an eye on Amazon, obviously, next week. PayPal didn't do anything. It actually was red on the day. It rested. I'm watching PayPal this week for a resumption off its pretty good earnings. Again, you can see the chart here on PayPal. Big move up, right? Big move up here. Rested yesterday. Should resume this week. We'll be looking for an upside pivot there as well. Even Uber. Did you guys see how horrible Uber's earnings were, right? Again, they're discounting bad earnings. That's the whole point. And again, they're slowly but surely optimistic. We're going to start opening up again. Excuse me. So Uber, we talked about this 33.60 area. I don't think it ever got there. Yeah, so 33.60, yeah, never got there, not even close. So Uber didn't do anything. TTD never gave a second entry. 292, if it builds below, can flush. It only gave a couple of dollars on its first move, but never confirmed, okay? So here was the 292. It got down to like 289, okay? Actually, it did confirm. I apologize. The 292 only got down to 289. And again, it really showed you how strong this market is because it started rebounding very, very aggressively. And obviously, Roku, big move there on Roku. 192.20 needs to build. Again, shows you that they're discounting earnings, right? Roku had a big macro move up. And here's the pivot right here. This 192.20 just absolutely exploded, guys. 192.20 went all the way up to the next supply of 133.67. Huge move, absolutely huge move on Roku. But this was the trade of the day, right? This was the trade of the day. I've been talking about this 800 level on Tesla for a week, okay? If you guys remember, early in the week, we had a pivot of 791, got rejected on the $800 level. Took some cash flow, got rejected. Even as late as Thursday, right? On Thursday's video, we got long, I think also, it was the 791, 792, whatever it was. And again, it stopped at 797, 798. So twice in a row, it got rejected off that 800 level. And I said, look, man, if this thing reclaims 800, there's a shot it gets to 820, right? That's kind of been the whole rationale the whole week. And again, guys, this is the whole point of staying patient and waiting for confirmations technically, not emotionally, technically. So it finally got above the 800, right? Finally got above the 800 level and just absolutely exploded, like absolutely exploded. It exploded. I mean, there's nothing really you can say. And the funny thing is, you couldn't even, how sometimes a lot of traders will turn around and say, wow, I sold it too early. You couldn't have sold it too early. The first candle, literally in the first 3 to 5 minutes, put up a $15 candle. So if you screwed up, you got 7-8 points out of it. And again, raise your hand if selling too early, 7-8 points in a matter of minutes is too early. So just an absolute phenomenal move. Nothing really left to say. This was definitely my trade of the day. Not even close. As good as Chipotle was, again, remember, I'm not trading Chipotle any size, but this was amazing. Just an absolute amazing stock. Again, I will be very, very sad if one day this thing either goes private or goes bankrupt or either something in between. But this has just been an absolute monster move. Now all it needs to do is kind of reclaim this like 830, 832 on a close. And you can see a move back to the April 30 highs of 869. It's all possible, all possible. On Friday, you saw a bet come in. I think it was for the June or July, 1,050 calls, right? $2.4 million worth of premium. So people are very, very bullish. So an amazing action, absolute amazing action. Take on the way. I kept on saying, I'm pretty confident to say it was an amazing morning. I know a lot of you guys did very, very well. Roku's gone. I mean, it was just amazing. It was just shocking how aggressive the day was been. And again, just amazing moves. I know a lot of you guys did incredibly well. I know a lot of you guys have been emailing me and texting me and all that stuff. Just phenomenal, absolute phenomenal session. And that's it. 179. I mean, amazing moves. I mean, absolute amazing moves. Chipotle new highs, killer day. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So again, you have to love this market. Okay, you have to love this market, especially if you trade beta. Again, you don't need to put on a lot of risk. The channels are expanding pretty much every single day. Like Thursday, for example, we had a res day in beta, but set up perfectly for Friday. And the whole point is, again, just remember, you don't need to trade every single day. Only trade when you get value. Only trade when your stocks are completely highlighted. And the name of the game, guys, again, we are in a George Costanza market. Okay, I'm bald, I'm unemployed, and I live with my mother. Hi, my name is Victoria. Nothing makes sense. Guys, God bless. Have an awesome, awesome weekend. I love you all, and I'll see you on the field on Monday. Take care, guys.
Congratulations for putting in the time to take control of your trading. You're one step closer to owning your future and achieving the success you desire. Want daily trade ideas directly from Dan, straight off his personal watch list? Unlock our free PS60 Vault, where you'll get nightly updates on pivot opportunities we're watching for the next day's session. Click the link in the description to get started today.